Hi, I'm with Kevin DaSilva with the Kevin DaSilva Group with Douglas Elliman, the #1 small team in California.
Oh yeah, baby.
And today we're going to be talking on how to build wealth in LA County through real estate.
It's the county I sell the most homes in.
And you're in the process to actually maximize your investment in real estate. And how did you do it? Tell me.
So, being a real estate agent, I've worked with, up until that point, I've worked with 75 different people.
All right.
I've made people a lot of money. And I'd always wanted to make that kind of money. I mean, renting was always something I was going to do until I bought a house. I mean, it just, long term, it makes sense to buy a house. You fix your mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. Typically, the rent takes about 3 to 5 years to catch up. But after that, if you keep the house, guess what? You have a lower mortgage than you could rent the same house anywhere else. So that was always in my path. When we were looking for homes, I'm a little more dynamic. I'm okay with cosmetic fixers. I don't want to come in and do a gut. At the time that I was buying, I had money to do stuff. I just didn't have money to do everything, right? So I was looking for cosmetic fixers or turnkey or needed some fixing. So I'm a very easy to work with buyer because I'm very flexible. As long as the price is right, then I'll buy the house.
So there was a process, right? So you looked for a certain type of house, and at the end you ended up with buying a house that would be eligible for ADU building.
So ADU is cool. Here in Los Angeles, especially in the state of California, but LA County, you can almost do an ADU in most places. I don't know any place right now that doesn't allow an ADU. But at the time, there were some places that allowed them still and some places that didn't. Good for me, I couldn't afford the places that didn't allow them, but now they do. Anyway, the ADU came after we bought the house. Because ADUs are one of the cheapest ways to add square footage to your house. Even though ours was a detached garage, so it's actually not attached to the house. But either which way, when you do an ADU, the cool thing is you don't have to replace the parking requirement. For me, it was all about schools. I don't feel like paying for private school. It's not really in my daily budget. I'd rather go on vacation. So I'd rather live in a good school district. So, 3 girls. At the time, it was 2, pregnant with a third. And the oldest one was already in 1st grade. So I had this kind of cost-benefit analysis of, I'd already mapped out, which I already know all the great schools, where they are and stuff like that. So regularly my clients want that information, so I set it up for them. So I just set it up for myself. I knew which neighborhoods I wanted to stay in. But, you can have great elementary school, and then you can have great elementary and middle school, and then you can have what I like to call vertical. Elementary, middle, and high school, all great. So, ideally you're in a vertical neighborhood. So I ended up buying in a vertical neighborhood. And that helped because I was looking okay, I'm going to buy this house here, but I knew that I wanted to keep the house. That's one thing for me was to keep the house. I've seen people, they trade, they keep trading, and then they get to their great home, right? And then they retire, and that's a big chunk of their retirement. If you keep each of the houses you buy along the way, they each turn into rental properties, and not only do you have the cash flow, but you have the appreciation, you have the equity in each of the homes. So for me, definitely part of the plan was always to buy in if I had to rank it, a B plus neighborhood, more like a B neighborhood with great schools, which exist, and then to bring the home up in value, make it cash flow positive, and then move on and either purchase or we actually moved and we're renting, but the rent that we're getting on both of our units is actually helping offset the additional is helping us save faster. So now it's actually fast tracking us to be able to buy another property in a shorter amount of time than if I was just putting away putting away dollars from my paychecks. Yeah, that was the main goal. Was the schools, a decent area, and a house or a neighborhood that was on the rise.
So Kevin,
yeah,
what was the process to pick the right home for you?
That's a good question, Anas. For me, it boiled down to schools. Mm-hmm. I did prefer vertical school districts. So, like, what I mean by that is good elementary school, good middle school, good high school. This was the early days of the pandemic. Who knows what was going to happen in the real estate market? Foreclosures might be coming. It's hard to plan for the future. So, the way I look at it is, if I didn't have to move, would I be happy? So that's that's how I like to plan my properties. The other one is, this was my first purchase. I wanted to keep my costs low. I was okay buying a fixed up house, but I definitely wanted, if I was going to buy something that needed work, it's the kind of neighborhood that if I do the work, I get the reward. So some neighborhoods, the fixer is not enough below the fixed up home to justify coming in and spending a bunch of money on fixing it up. So when I was selecting the area, it was mainly school and spread. Like, what is the biggest spread between that fixer house and that turnkey home?
Now you got the home, submitted an offer, got it accepted. What happened next?
You helped me with that, actually. A few things happened. One, I learned some things about the home buying process that, like I said, up until that point, I had helped 75 people. I didn't realize took place. Okay, so, I had never looked at a closing disclosure, so I didn't know what was on it. I didn't have any problems, but I had been yelled about this document a couple times, but I had never gotten the chance to look at one. That was always between them and the lender. So I got to look at the closing disclosure. There were some fees on it that I wasn't aware of, that they don't talk about, at the national level, because every state, every county, every city is different. So I learned that. One aspect, so I'm self-employed, and I was buying during the pandemic, which it was kind of hard to get a loan, but you got me 2.75 base rate, which I bought it down one time. I paid 1 point, and I got a 2.375 rate, which, is part of the reason why I want to keep the house. Never get that rate again. But you helped me structure a profit loss statement. You basically just helped me along the way, and made the process very easy. And then, right away we refinished the floors because we took out some carpet. There was hardwood underneath. We refinished, we painted, and we moved in. And then it was like, when you move into a house, especially if it needs fixing, so it was a cosmetic fixer, you end up, that's when you start to feel out, like, what should I do? Like, the glamour wants to tell me, let's go remodel the kitchen and the bathroom. But the reason tells me, well, we just finished the floors, we just painted, let's redo the windows because this wood single pane isn't working. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, with dew on my sweatshirt. and let's put in central heat because that wall furnace does not do its job. So if I was to go back and do it again, I would do it exactly the same way. Get in, settle with the house, figure out what you need first, and then get to work.
So now you moved in.
Yeah.
And I've been to your house a few times.
Yes.
And every time I went, it was kind of different. So tell me more about that.
Okay. So, for me, my wife and I actually make a really good team on upgrading properties. She's very much about how it looks. I'm very much about the cost, the reward, and also I have a really good sense with, like, layout. So I did personally design the layout of the ADU. I personally designed and drew the layout of the bathroom, but when we moved in, it was basically first things first, replace the windows, add central heat, right? Then, and add solar. So we added solar because I have an electric vehicle. My electric bill is like $300 a month, right? So these were all meant to make things more comfortable, make things, the heat obviously was all, the first three were about, I would say, necessity comforts, not vanity comforts. Although the windows look nicer. Then, so that was 1, 2, 3. Then we went piece by piece. My wife did a cosmetic facelift to the bathroom that was existing. We replaced the toilet. We tiled. We took out the wood. We tiled. So it was very cosmetic, very simple. We put in a vanity with marble countertop because it was a pedestal sink. So, but we left, and then we swapped out a lot of lights. So one thing I actually did when I was looking for the house and why I bought the house was it had a newer roof, it had upgraded electrical, it had upgraded plumbing. Unfortunately, because somebody in the house, not one of the adults, was flushing wet wipes, ended up replacing the sewer line. So that one was an unexpected cost. Unfortunately, my plumber is out when it backed up, so I ended up spending a ridiculous amount of money just to do the repair. And these are the unexpected things of homeownership. Anyway, you do as much as you can to inspect. From there, let me see, we redid the floors in the house because my wife didn't like them. And around that same time, we also did some work in the middle yard. We added a fire pit. So we started just creating indoor-outdoor experiences for the family. And it was, so that was, 2021 was a lot of little things here and there. In 2022, that's when we became more aggressive with the house. So we had this idea to turn the laundry room into a bathroom. And so one of my philosophies inside of real estate here in Los Angeles, I think it can work elsewhere, but here in Los Angeles, particularly on like the west side, you can do it in the valley, you can do it in Long Beach, is to take space and repurpose it to a higher like value. So bathrooms are worth more than laundry rooms. Laundry rooms are nice, bathrooms are better. You could always put your stackable somewhere else. So for us, we turned that in. Like I said, I drew that. We did it all with permit. Moved the laundry to the living room. Put like a cabinet around it. So we replaced the storage and everything. And really, every time we did something, we would alter it, but still replace what we were losing. So like when we took the laundry room, that was a utility closet too. We took the laundry room, turned it into a bathroom. We moved the water heater outside, and we put storage all around the laundry in the living room in a space that really wasn't being used to begin with. So, it's all about maximizing space, and that helped us bring the value from $700,000 to $900,000. And we were able to do a home equity line of credit and do more work. So
at that point, what would you say was the most valuable add to your house?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise that adding a bathroom is one of the most valuable things you can do.
Yeah.
If you ever watch people who flip homes, they always try to take space and reorganize, if they can, and add additional bedrooms and bathrooms. Because people buy on bedrooms and bathrooms. It doesn't mean you can't do other stuff. Like our kitchen, we spent $20,000 in remodeling our kitchen. It definitely brought a lot of value. Probably took my house up to $950 from, like almost every repair or upgrade we've done. Well, not necessarily repair, but every upgrade we've done has almost doubled the value of the home compared to the upgrade. So if we spent $50,000 on this, we got back $100.
Got it.
So over the course of owning the house, the house, I bought it for $700. I had put in $70,000, but it was worth $900. The market did go up by 50, so 900 minus the 50, 850, minus the 70. So clearly, it's like 150,000 price appreciation. Invested $70,000 in the home, it doubled the value.
Now that you increased the value of your home, you needed more financing for your goals, right?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Well, so we had already been in planning for this ADU, and luckily it took a while. It's a whole different topic, but luckily it did take a while. And I was able to add value elsewhere, brought it up to the 900. After adding the kitchen, went up even further. We actually appraised at 900 without the kitchen. We did the kitchen after. But that allowed us to unlock $150,000 worth of equity through a home equity line of credit. And we used that money to build an ADU. And the ADU does increase my value. Okay, so like if I sold it today with the money I put in, I would have a really good profit, because now I just have a turnkey home from corner to corner. The entire home itself, the ADU is brand new. We redid the whole yard. We had the fire pit outside. We did turf, so it's low maintenance. We put in a putting green. Really cool stuff. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it's enjoyable. Like you pull up. It's got great curb appeal now. We added a parking space. Either which way, my whole goal in doing that was singular. Have that 2.375 mortgage. And I do run analysis for a lot of clients who are looking to invest, and I knew that if I had the house by itself, I'd get maybe break even, right? Maybe a small profit. My mortgage is $3,400. I rented it for $3,700, just the front house. I'm going to rent the back house separately. But honestly, even if I didn't have the back house, I don't think I would have gotten much more money on my house. Like 2 bedrooms in my neighborhood just don't go that much higher, especially because at $4,500 you can go rent a full 3-bedroom. Okay, so for me, the ADU was the key between keeping the property and being financially better off, or just selling the property and grabbing my equity. Because as a principal residence, I do have the ability to sell it and keep up to $500,000 because I'm married. So, it was basically like that. But with the 2.375 mortgage, that ADU was the difference maker. And so, my overall mortgage with the HELOC is $4,500. I rented the front for $3,700, and I'll rent the back for $2,700. So my gross will be $6,400 a month. Clearly, that is something I can use because I can pay down the home equity line of credit, and then I can use it again to buy more properties. It's like, I pay down the savings account. I write off the interest in the process. So it's a win-win. And instead of just putting money in a savings account, I borrowed money, increased the value of my property, increased the cash flow, and now I'll use the cash flow to pay down that mortgage, and then I'll be able to pull because it's a line of credit. I can pull from it whenever I want. It's not like a mortgage where you're fixed in, and okay, if I pay it down faster, then I just pay it down faster. I just build equity. With this one, I can keep grabbing from it. So the goal is to try to do this at least 2 to 3 times more and basically buy 2 to 3 more properties before that home equity line of credit goes away.
So now that this is settled, right? You got it done.
Yeah.
You fulfilled on a dream. You fulfilled on a goal.
Oh, yeah.
A goal. And now what's next?
So yeah, we moved out. We're renting a townhouse, in a nice neighborhood. Not that the other neighborhood wasn't nice, but we're renting in Manhattan Beach. We were living in Hawthorne. Hawthorne's a great place. Need to see how things work, but recently I realized that buying early in new construction developments is actually geometrically better than just buying a normal property. And let me explain this.
Wow.
So I like things that when I do something I double, or basically I grow above the market. So I bought in a neighborhood where there was a bigger spread with my first house. I did improvements every time I did improvements. I didn't just get my money back on the new value of the house. I doubled the money with the new value. So, like I said, I invested $70,000 and I increased the property value by an additional $80,000. So, money well spent. Mm-hmm. The construction was fun, but it does take a lot of time. And honestly, I could let somebody else do it. So what I've discovered is that if you buy early in a larger like townhome development community or small lot subdivision community where there's like, 50, 100, however many homes. When you buy in these larger developments where they sell in phases, if you buy in the early phases, you can buy it. People love to rent new construction. So you actually get a really good tenant too. You typically have to come in with about 25 to 30% down, which we'll be able to do, especially if we get in early with our, we'll be able to take the money and go buy these. But you rent it out, you make a little bit of money along the way, but what I have found is on average, these properties increase about $100,000 from the early phases to the final phase that sells. Mm-hmm. And in the same time, so $100,000, put that in perspective, is like 14%. So they increase by between 10 and 14%, while the market itself only increased by like 7%. Also, during, when in the most recent slowdown, everywhere was like dropping prices on homes, but these new construction ones, although they were giving incentives to buy the rate down, they were still selling. And they barely, what I saw was they just kept the prices flat, and then they started increasing it again. Before the pandemic, every phase they were increasing it by like $5,000. Now they increase it by a more modest $1,500 to $2,500. But just imagine if I could just buy a house here, not do anything, but rent it out, which I'm good at those too, right? I rent that house out. Maybe a year or two after everything, the dust settles and the whole complex is complete, I sell it and I go trade into another one. Or I keep it. You never know. Yeah. If I keep paying down my home equity line of credit, then I'll keep it. The best thing to do, I think, is to assess your situation on an annual basis, look at what's your best opportunities, and when you have the money, how much money do I need to get there? What is my equity? What is my capital need to look like? And then when you get there, then assess, because everything changes. Multifamily used to be, everybody was going after multifamily a while ago. Mm-hmm. And depending on the neighborhood, it's not as, people aren't as enthusiastic about it anymore. So, like I said, everything changes. Assess your situation and make the best decision for yourself. And if you don't have, like, I get to do this because I help people do this every day. So I would say I consult with myself, I consult with my wife, I consult with Derek over here who's filming. I talk to my lender, I call Anas, see what loan programs are out there, what I can do, what I can't do, right? But if you don't have that kind of support, then reach out. That's what we're here for.
Well, Kevin.
Anas.
Where can we reach you to buy homes or list our homes?
Oh, well, if you're thinking about buying a home or you're thinking about selling your house or you want to invest in real estate, you can comment below. You can message us. And you can text us. 424-392-4213. Those are the easiest 3 ways to get a hold of us.
And this is the Anas Podcast with Anas Home Loans, powered by Easy Fundings.